Coming up, has Disney been hacked? Also, we're talking about San Diego Comic-Con and Marvel's plans and much more. But before we go any further, make sure you do hit that subscribe button to keep up with the latest Disney Plus news. Hi, it's Roger here from What's On at DisneyPlus.com. It's time for a quick Disney Plus news roundup. So let's start off with something pretty serious, because over the weekend it was revealed that a hacker group called Nullbudge has actually managed to grab about 1 terabyte of data from Slack, all of which is within Disney's corporate platform. And with this, they have been kind of putting out for a ransom. They are saying that they're doing this because of Disney's treatment and the way that it treats its consumers, and also its take on AI. Obviously, they're going for a ransom. They're trying to get some money out of them. They have put out some sort of data to try and get a hold so people can see it. The Wall Street Journal has reached out for Disney, and they say they're currently investigating it. They've been able to get access to some of the data, and they have been seen some information about maintaining Disney's corporate website, assessments of candidates for employment, programs for emerging leaders within ESPN, and photos of employees' dogs. This is very serious. Now, there was a lot of stuff floating around on the internet, and I was tagged in it, and it got brought up in our Q&A, but I wanted to make sure until we got some proper information, didn't want to just jump straight on this. A lot of people were thinking it was Disney Plus, because some people were sharing images of Disney Plus with the word, Disney's been hacked, and that kind of created some confusion. So first off, it is not Disney Plus. Disney Plus has not been hacked. This is basically Slack, a independent platform which companies use for communications. I can't help but feel they're probably not going to be using it much longer. So the data apparently goes back a few years, and this is going to include unreleased projects and information about upcoming projects and things like that. Now, 1 terabyte is kind of a bit of a weird one. In terms of data, it depends really on what kind of data it is. If it's full, HD 4K movies, it ain't gonna be, that's probably 3 or 4 movies, that's probably about it. But in terms of messages, that's a lot of messages. There's probably gonna be a lot of conversations going on in there. Now, whether or not this gets actually released out to the public, whether or not Disney pay up, because there's for and against it. Obviously, paying a ransom, there's no guarantee that they pay the ransom and then the information gets released anyway. They've also got the other problem as well, as if they do pay the ransom and it gets found out, then other hackers might then go after them. So catch-22. And whether or not law enforcement agencies and other stuff like that are involved with this. So this is very serious. Sony went through this years ago, and a load of information came out that shouldn't have. This could be really damaging for Disney on a number of different levels. First off, projects that maybe weren't supposed to have been released could be released. I mean, people kind of jumped to a lot of conclusions about that. The idea that the entire Deadpool and Wolverine would be on there for them to download, or the entire Lizzie McGuire reboot that didn't come to life. It could be anything. It could just be some B-roll footage or some bits and pieces that we've not seen. So I think sometimes people get a little bit carried away. There's been lots of talk as well of whether or not it's got all the plans for Marvel for the next 10 years, all the Star Wars plans, whether or not you're going to have video games like the new Kingdom Hearts game. Everyone's kind of gone off, and the imaginations have gone wild to what's in here. There's probably just a lot of conversations and stuff like that, of which probably, definitely going to say, cast members that work for Disney don't want that information getting out there. Look, let's be honest, we all work with people, and you all have conversations at work and maybe on, Slack or Facebook or things like that. And some of that stuff you might not necessarily want out in the public, not just because it's inappropriate, but maybe it's just there's something that's not quite right. Like I say, pictures of people's dogs. I mean, if you follow me on Twitter, then you'll see that my dogs all the time. But people might not want that out there. Also, there could be lots of discussions about, situations that maybe Disney doesn't want to be talking about. Maybe there's whole conversations in there about the Florida situation that they've had over the last few years, or other things that have been going on. They might not want that information out. It is very interesting. I don't know how much this is going to relate to Disney Plus in the future. It's going to depend on what information comes out. But also, this is the other thing I really kind of wanted to bring up was, there's going to be a lot of misinformation and a lot of rumors and speculation floating around the internet. And people will say stuff, especially I see it a lot on Twitter, where people will just say fake stuff and say it as fact, and just to get the clout and the clicks and the all that kind of stuff. And so you really kind of got to be careful, because we don't know some of this information. Not all of it's come out. So if it's not coming from a major source, if it's coming from just something updates or some random account that you've never heard of that doesn't have any sort of presence online, just be wary of it. There's going to be a lot of people just kind of trying to get engagement baiting and trying to just get people to react to stuff. So just take a lot of the stuff you've seen lately and, you know, think, oh, it come from the leak. Well, we haven't got it yet. So it's going to be interesting to see how all this works out, what's going to happen. You know, there might be plans in there for Disney, but there could have been anything. But yeah, so I just wanted to clear up that it's not Disney Plus. However, if you are worried about it, you know, go into your My Disney account, change your password, you know, that kind of thing. And also and you should always do this anyway, just check your bank statements and your credit card statements. Make sure nothing inappropriate's going on there anyway. But again, it's nothing to do with Disney Plus. They hacked into Slack and got all of Disney's information that way. But just wanted to put that up there. Moving on from there, let's now talk about San Diego Comic-Con, because it's been confirmed that Marvel is not just doing one presentation, they're actually going to be doing 2 presentations, because on the Saturday night, we're going to be getting the big Marvel panel. That's currently estimated it's going to be about an hour long according to the schedule, where we're going to be finding out about upcoming Marvel projects. Now, whether or not this is future ones that we don't know about, or whether or not just giving us updates on what we know is coming, giving us maybe an idea of what's coming up in Phase 6. And just clarifying maybe the release schedule and what their plans are, because obviously a lot has changed since last time. It's kind of funny because when you look at the sort of the slideshow that they put up for their schedule, we're so far behind. We're well over a year behind, and you know, we're still getting things like Agatha, which should have been out over a year ago. And all the projects have just like bump, and it's just been a tail back. And now, like I said, we are going to be probably, I would say probably close to 2 years behind by the time a lot of this stuff comes out. A lot of the films that are coming out next year, we should have already had out. And some of the shows that are films that should be out, haven't even started filming yet. So there's a lot of issues with that. But that's obviously the big presentation. Lots of speculation about that one. I would say generally, I wouldn't go into this expecting to see too many big announcements of stuff that we don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if like Wonder Man and like Vision Quest was officially confirmed, maybe another film or an update on the Avengers movie. But I'm being very kind of, you know, the idea of, I don't want people getting too far away, because as I said, everything's been bumped back, so therefore that means all the announcements and stuff, you know, they don't really want to be announcing shows and films that are coming out in multiple years' time. But now, I thought they were going to have Deadpool there because it's coming out that same weekend, and they are, but they're going to be doing something different. They're actually going to have an entirely separate panel on the Thursday, the day before the movie comes out officially everywhere. That's going to have Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, Kevin Feige. That's going to be a whole presentation just for Deadpool and Wolverine. I expect it's going to be fantastic for those in attendance. There's going to be loads of hijinks and stuff. You just can tell that if you put a live mic with them guys, it's going to be a lot of fun. Whether there's surprises and stuff, I mean, I think that's going to be a lot of fun and just kind of extra publicity for the film. But yeah, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with this one. But yeah, I definitely think, I think it's probably a good thing to kind of take out Deadpool away from that, because again, they've only got an hour, and I think it's probably going to be a little bit longer, probably an hour and a half. I can't see them going 2.5, because that's what they're scheduled. Giving up 10-15 minutes for Deadpool and Wolverine, which is, you know, they're going to try and get some extra publicity for it. Yeah, moving it out, doing it separate, having its own thing, and for those in attendance, they're going to absolutely love it. And obviously for those of us not going, you should expect to see like images and videos and stuff coming out after it's happened. But they tend to like keeping those kind of events just for those there in person, and we just get to see the highlights. But let us know what you think of all this in the comments below. And our question of the day, which comes from Michael, who says, do you think Tubi TV launching in the UK will have any impact on Disney Plus? So I definitely think the launch of Tubi is going to eat into Disney Plus's viewership, and actually I think it's going to bite into everyone's viewership. It's massive in America. It's actually got about the same viewership as Disney Plus. It's obviously going to kick in, but then it can affect the same thing for the BBC, Netflix, everyone. So anytime a new streaming service launch, it's going to pull in. Now obviously the platform is free. Now I have had a look at it, and I'm not going to lie, the thing that I could only literally recognise probably about 5 titles on the entire homepage that I've actually even heard of. There's a load of stuff in there. I'll be honest, it's not really a platform that I will probably go into very much. There was a couple of movies, and when I say a couple of movies from Disney, that is all there was. So there is going to be things in there that's definitely worth checking out. I think obviously if you're on a budget and trying not to spend money on streaming services, I think this is a great platform. And we're definitely seeing it. Nothing beats free, but you are going to have to put up with ads. But also, You can just tell when like logging in the level of the quality of the stuff that's in there. You get what you pay for at the end of the day. You know, Disney Plus with ads is $4.99 here in the UK, or it's free for the Tubi, and you can see how much better quality content is on Disney Plus for that $4.99. I'm very much in their mindset now of, you know, if you're trying to save money, go down to the ad tiers, have maybe 2 or 3 of the ones with ads, and you know, then you're using like your free services like Tubi, BBC, ITV. You know, I know you're technically paying for the BBC, but you kind of have to really. That's a whole other thing for Americans. Unfortunately, here in the UK, if you watch live television, you do have to have a license, and you have to pay the BBC for it. If you access the BBC, you have to pay for it. It's a very complicated system. But again, if you're watching something live, you do need a license here in the UK. If you're watching if you're just watching just stuff that's not live, you're fine. But the minute you go into streaming something on Twitch or YouTube or any other platform, then that's when you start getting into problems of needing it. It's a very grey area, but just be aware of it. But I do think it's going to kick in and take some of the audience, but at the same time, no different than, you know, a new show launching on Netflix or something happening. I think it's going to be negligible. And honestly, I think Tubi really needs much more content to be able to be a real serious contender, because it didn't look very strong to me. It was a bit like, this is a load of rubbish. But let me know what you think. Are you using Tubi? I think in America it might be a lot better than the lot I saw here in the UK. It was pretty bad. Maybe I need to check it out again after it's kind of officially like moved past the kind of launch phase. But it didn't do a good impression on me to begin with. But nevertheless, let me know what you think of all this in today's comments below. If you've got a good question, drop it in there as well. I'll pick out the best one for tomorrow's news video. Check out yesterday's, where I gave my review of Young Woman and the Sea. And on that note, guys, thank you very much. See you guys soon. Later.